Hey guys, Weiss Schwarz Nisekoi here again. This time we're going to give you a Nisekoi deck profile. This is going to be majority red with blue as its secondary color. First off, this is my competitive deck. I like to run this one a lot when going to tournaments and things like that, and I'm very, very successful with it. The one thing I can say about this deck is that it's super consistent on what it does. It doesn't have a lot of like gimmicky stuff that a lot of other competitive decks have, say like the Sword Art Xenons that, burn for 4, or Contact Collection with anti-heal and anti-salvage. Instead, it makes sure that you always have a hand whenever you need it, and you really give up those gimmicky stuff. Because it is super consistent, I will say that because of that, it does have its counters, meaning if, this deck does do a lot of salvaging, so if you are against anti-salvage, it can't hurt you, but there are also still ways to maintain yourself just fine. I love this deck a lot. I run it all the time, and I made this deck as soon as Nisekoi came out. So we're going to kick it right off, and with Nisekoi, we're going to start off with the Promise Pendants, and we're going to keep them at the top of the screen just so that we can always refer to them, since it is going to be used majorly in a lot of the mechanics that the deck has to offer. For my Promise Pendant, I run 2 of the blue one and 2 of the red one. I'll tell you right there, the blue Promise Pendant is a 1/1 event backup for 3,000 power. Because it is an event, you can also use this on your turn, not only as a backup. For all Promise Pendants, whenever you use them, they go straight to memory, meaning you can't ever get these back in the game once you use them once, but you need them in memory for other effects to activate. So that's what the blue one does. The red one, 1/1 event, you tap 2 of your characters, salvage 2 characters from your waiting room, and you discard 1. Great for hand fixing as soon as you hit level 1. I like to open up level 1 a lot with this card after leveling a red one. The only other thing I can really say is if you really disagree with this layout, a lot of people I know prefer running this blue one because they do like the event backup that you can also play on your turn. A lot of people might even run 4 of these. There are some people that go 3 and 1, let's say. But I like keeping the red one at 2 purely for opening level 1. You set up a really good hand and you're ready to go for pretty much anything else. It is okay to run 4 of these. It's just I do like the red one a lot, and I don't feel comfortable at running it at a 1 of. So we're just going to run it at 2 and run 2 of each of them. All right, so we're going to keep these at the top just so we always remember which ones we're running. The other Promise Pendants, just so I can give them a mention, the yellow one is a 1/1 event that you send it to memory and you search for 1 key character in your deck. It's pretty straightforward. We're just running no yellow cards, so we're not going to run it. And additionally, the green one is an event. I believe it gives 3,500 power to 1 character, and I think on reverse of a character, it allows you to get 1 free stock that's blind. If that's wrong, I'm not sure, but we don't run any green either, except for 2 cards, so we're not going to run that one either. I guess we'll just kick off the deck right away. We're going to do zeros first, obviously, and we're going to give it a go. We start off with 4 of the Assist Raku. On play, you can discard a card and salvage a Promise Pendant from your waiting room. This is really important. I even play this card first turn, additionally, mainly because in your opening hand before pre-mulligan, if you get a Promise Pendant, but you have a Raku, ditch the Promise Pendant, because that way, after you draw into your new cards, let's say you draw level 3, at level 0, you don't need a level 3, so you play your Raku, discard the level 3, get that Promise Pendant back. It's really, really good. Additionally, what the Raku does, it's a global 500 power to all of your key characters. Every character in the deck is a key character, so this helps out no matter what. Having 1 of these on the field is always good. We do run 4 of them. We don't run 2. We don't run anything less than that, because this is going to be our only assist that we run in the deck, really. And because of that, we're going to run it at 4, and it is global, so that helps us out no matter what. Next up, we're going to be running 2 of the Pay 1 Brainstormer that is in Nisekoi. This one's all right. I don't have any real issues with this Pay 1 Brainstormer. Pay 1. Reveal top 4 of your deck. For each climax revealed, you can give a character 2,000 power. So, it's pretty good. It's really only there for the pay 1 effect of getting through your deck, needing to refresh, pay out climaxes, etc. Its other effect, you can keep this in the back, and whenever one of your key character gets reversed, you can give 1,000 power to another character. Pretty straightforward. Really good card. We do run it just because for the pay 1 brainstorming, and it's really good. This is our other Brainstormer that we're going to be running. This is the pay 1, tap 2 of your character's Brainstormer. For each climax you reveal, out of the top 4 that you reveal, and you send to the waiting room, I'm sorry. And then for each one that you show, you can search for one key character in your deck. So, fixes your hand, adds stuff to hand, pretty great. Search for anything in the deck. Additionally, you can use this card offensively. You can attack, whenever you attack with this card, you give 1,000 power to another key character. Really, really good. Keeping it at a 2. Next, this is going to be our Suicider for the deck. This is a 0015 Suicider Chitoge. Not only is it a Suicider, but it was the first runner card that was introduced into the North American meta. What that means is, at the beginning of your opponent's battle step, you can move this card only to the center position. Pretty much, to get the full use out of this card, you never want to put this card in the center position, and instead, on your opponent's, at the beginning of their battle step, you want to move it there. So your opponent has to always consider that effect before they set up their field. We run it as a 2 of, don't think you need any more of that. We do have more power build, level 0s, so you don't exactly always need your Suiciders. Next, this is the only non-red and blue card that we run in the deck. And this is the On-Play Searcher. It is a green, 2,500. On-Play, pay 1, discard a card, and you can search for any key character in your deck. Really solid. We run it as 2. This helps you set up immediately for level 1, and you can use it later as well. We additionally run this other pay 1 Searcher, but this one you can only use later on in the game. You can only use its pay 1 stock, search for any key character in your deck, only after you have 2 promise pendants in your memory. So this is technically a late game search that you can really pull off, but it is good because you don't have to discard that card, and instead you just need 2 of these in your memory. But we can also still use this card at level 0 because its other effect is during your opponent's turn, if your opponent has 3 or less characters, this card gains, I believe, an additional 2,000, making it a 3/5. This is really good for 2 reasons. One, when you open with this card, it becomes a 3/5 when it immediately hits your opponent's turn. And the only way that it will not be a 3/5 is if your opponent blows a lot of their hand advantage because they have to play at least 3 cards on the field. I'm a big fan of that kind of play style, making my opponent put down cards even if they don't want to get over this. Of course, either they play a lot of cards or they run a Suicider into it. Either way, I'm getting rid of stuff that I don't want to see later in the game. I love this card. We're gonna run 2 of it. Really, really good. Next, this is my favorite level 0 of the set, mainly because it has a lot of utility. You can use it at any level, and she's very aggressive. Aggressive girl Marika. When you play this card from your hand, you look at the top card of your deck. You can choose to put it in your waiting room or keep it on the top. Great for a top check at any point in the game. And additionally, when you play this card, you can discard a Climax card to salvage any character in your waiting room. If you get Climax clogged in the beginning of the game, this really helps out with stuff like that. Additionally, if you have a Climax in your card you just don't feel like using, you can get rid of it, salvage a card from your waiting room. Great for when you're about to refresh. Play it, get rid of a Climax so you're about to refresh into your deck, salvage a card that wasn't going to be shuffled back in. Really, really great. It is only 1,500 base, so you don't actually use it for power, but instead we use it for its utility. This is going to be for the last level 0s that we use. This is the 2,000 base Mischievous Kiss Marika. If you have no other cards on the field, this card gains 2,000 power, making it a 4K by itself, which is really, really good, but that's not the reason we really run it. We run it for its other effect, which I prefer in almost all of my decks. I like effects like this, which is a pay 1 stock, draw a card, discard a card. Great for hand fixing, feeding out Climaxes that are in your stock without having to go through your entire deck to do so. So it's a great first turn card, but you can also use it for its other effect. Because of that, we run, I believe this is a total of 18, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18 level 0s. That's a pretty scary number for a lot of people because they don't like running they don't even like running 16, and 16 is usually the average number. But a lot of these cards we're going to be using throughout the entire game. The only one I would say that we don't use throughout the later in the game is really the Suicider, putting at the 16 cards that are consistently good. And because of that, we will be cutting mostly the level 2 game, which I think I'll be all right with, mainly because all of those cards are really good. We're going to kick off level 1 then. We're going to start off with pretty much a necessary card if you're running blue and Nisekoi. which is very similar to the Temporary Alliance Xenon that is in the Sword Art build that I have posted before. It is a 4K base, but it gains 500 power for every other key character you have, making this a 1-0 6,000 power card if you have a full field. Additionally, it has Clock Encore, meaning when it goes to the waiting room after it dies, instead of paying 3 stock, you can take 1 damage, and then you can immediately put it back tapped on the field. Really, really good. Helps you keep your field if you don't want to lose your hand or lose stock. Additionally, it can get really strong at that 6K by itself, and usually we have at least 1 Raku on the field, putting it at that 6-5 hotspot. And then with Climaxes, obviously you can top over pretty much any level 1 in the game. So we run it at a 4. Next, favorite level 1, and my favorite level 1 Suicider of any set that currently exists. Downside is, this is only a level 1 Suicider when you have one of these in memory. But that's alright. Like I said, I like to open level 1 with the red Promise Pendant, and when we do that, we can salvage 2 characters from our waiting room. If one of her is in it, I like to grab one just in case, and usually like to grab one of the Kosakis as well. As soon as this is put into the memory, she gets her full effect. Her other effect is, when you play this from hand, you can reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a key character, add it to hand, and then discard 1 card. So as soon as you hit level 1, helps you hand fix or give you a top check whenever you need. One of the best level 1 Suiciders I think that exists out there, aside from the Fairy Tail one, which is pretty broken, but I think that's pretty much what Fairy Tail's got for them. Really love this card. There are many times in many games that I believe this card has carried me through it, purely because I will first turn it at level 1, or I guess I won't first turn it, but at level 1 I'll play it right off the bat, kill whatever I need to get out of the way. They'll attack into it, probably with a level 1. It'll die, and I will even pay 3 stock just to get this card back because it is so powerful. So we run 2 of those. Next up is going to be the first Climax combo of the deck. A lot of people run this Climax combo if you're running any sort of red. It's a 1-0, 5,000 power Marika's Ordeal. What it does is, when you reverse a character, when you have the Gate Climax on the field, with which we run 4 of them, whenever you reverse a character and this is on the field, you get to salvage 1 character from your waiting room free of cost. Doesn't cost anything. So when you play the Climax card with this effect, it's already a 6,000 power. If you have a Raku, obviously, it's a 6-5, could be a 7. It's pretty much enough for you to reverse any character you need. Obviously, backups, these are what people are going to use backups on in your deck. But it's going to be okay, because if you have at least 2 of these or 3 of these on the field, you're going to get a lot of value after salvaging a ton of cards. So even if they die, you're getting cards back to make sure they keep stuff up. So normally I like to open level 1 with these and the level 1 Suiciders, and then I start loading my hand with this level 1, the Kosaki that we revealed earlier. And you're pretty much set for level 1, and the Kosakis can even carry you to level 2 as well. Alright, that's it for level 1 that we're going to be running. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 level 1s. We have to also include the Promise Pendants there. So technically we'll be running 14, if I counted correctly. So yes, 14 level 1s. Pretty standard number right there. If not 14, then usually 12. What am I doing? Alright, let's keep those there. Next up, we're going to start off with level 2. It's very, very small. We only run 4 level 2s. But one of them that we run is pretty much a staple in any Nisekoi build that can hold blue cards. It's a 2-1, 7,000 Soul Trigger. This is the Angel and White Kosaki. On play, if you have 5 or less cards in your deck, you pick up your waiting room in your deck and you reshuffle it. And instead of taking the refresh damage, you get to draw a card instead. Super, super valuable. There's only 2 sets in North America right now that have what are called, these are free fresh cards, which is Madoka Magica and now Nisekoi. You got to take advantage of them if you can run them, and so we run 2 of them. I don't think you need to run more than that because we do salvage a lot, and we can set up our hands with a lot of our other utility level 0s. Additionally, you can tap 2 of your characters and give any key character you own or on your field 2,000 power. Really, really good. Helps you get over most level 2s in any deck. Can help you equal up to a lot of base 9Ks or 9.5 level 3s as well. So this is really good. We're going to be running 2 of those. Next up, this is our next Climax combo of the deck. This is going to be Promise of Date Marika. This is a personal choice in the deck just because I really like this Climax combo because it really covers one of the biggest weaknesses that this deck has, which is power on your own turn. past level 1. So this really helps get over that. This is a 2/1/7/5 Soul Trigger Marika. On play, it gains X times power. It gains plus X power, and X is equal to the number of characters you have times 500. So this includes herself when you play her. So if you play her last, you do gain 2,500 power, making her a 10k base. Additionally, she has the Climax combo. What this Climax does is on play, take a red card in your waiting room and put it into your stock. Every one of your characters gains a soul. When you attack with this Marika, you can pay 1 stock, which you've just generated 1 stock. Pay 1 stock, and you give another one of your characters or itself 5,500 power and the ability, when it reverses a character, you put that character on top of your opponent's deck. This is really, really good. I call it an assassin purely because it gets a ton of power when people don't really see it coming. And you can give it to anybody. You could even give it to a 0 and kill probably a level 2 or level 1. It's really, really fun. Other than that, it's a pretty straightforward Climax combo. Additionally, when you do put something on your opponent's top of the deck, if they take that damage, then they can't obviously encore that card because it's not in their waiting room. So if you do this to level 3s, it helps stop your opponent from encoring them if they're really important for their deck. We only run 2 of the Climax card just because it's kind of whatever. I'm not a big fan of the way that it works in the deck. I don't think we need all those souls. The 2 soul triggers can also be a little hefty later on in the game, so we're not going to worry about it. But you only ever need 2 of these, and if you really just need this combo for whatever you're against, then just make sure you can always get it in your hand. So we only run 4 level 2s in the deck, and we've now seen 6 of our Climaxes, so that'll put us up there on that count. Now we're going to kick off at level 3, but before we go to level 3, one of our level 3s we can kind of include into our level 2 count. This is the 1 Kosaki. It's a 3/2 soul trigger, 9,500 power. The reason we can consider it a level 2 is because if you have 6 or more Climax cards in your waiting room, this gets -1 level in hand. The best play I like to pull off with this card is right before you are at a point where you can play this card and get the free fresh off, which is 5 or less cards in deck. Normally, if you have 5 or less cards in deck, you probably have 6 or more Climaxes in your waiting room. At that point, you want to play this card first, which additionally on play, you get to draw up to 2 cards, then discard 1. But if you're pretty low on deck, you don't need to do this effect. Other than that, it gains 1,000 power if you have 3 or more other key characters. So it's pretty much always going to be a 10/5. But you play this first at level 2 if you have the right setup, and then you play the free fresh, and then you're not going to take any refresh damage, and you have a level 3 out at level 2. Really, really strong. So we're only running 2 of these. A lot of people like this card. I don't think it's strong enough to run 4 of it, specifically because we are pretty tight on spots in the deck. But we are only going to run 2 of it, and instead we're going to run the favorable level 3 in my opinion, which is the Deep Friendship Shitoge, which is a 10k base 3/5 soul trigger. On play, heal 1 damage, and it has another effect where you pay 1 stock, tap 2 of your characters, and this card gains 2,000 power and the ability, whenever it reverses a character, you put it on top of your opponent's deck. Helps you stop your opponent from encoring level 3s, as I said earlier with the Marika effect. Also, it helps it get really strong, and you can stop your opponent's cards. I like this card. There is an alternative to this one that is also red that a lot of people like as well, which is the 1 Marika, which is the other level red 3/2 soul trigger 10k base. I prefer this one over the Marika mainly because of the second effect and that it also heals. Yes, there is the anti-heals that are pretty prevalent now in the North American meta, but even if you don't get the heal off, you can still get full advantage of this card by using its other effect and making it to where your opponent can't encore cards. The Marika is really only good for that burn ability on play, which don't get me wrong, it's just this deck is not about for going for the burns and things like that. And like I said, it doesn't use the gimmicky stuff that a lot of other decks have, and instead it takes advantage of just being super consistent and getting what you want effect-wise to stop your opponent. So that's why we run 4 of these Chitoges, putting our level 3 count at 6. Most people like 8 for a level 3 count, but because we don't run 2 more of the 1 Kosaki, we don't need to have it at 8. It's pretty consistent. You can almost always get these in your hand because of all the salvaging, the searching, the utility, drawing. It's great. If you have noticed and you've been keeping up, though, we've only gone through 6 of our Climax cards. This is where I'll mention the probably biggest downside to the deck that after making it is because we don't run 4 of the ad-libs, we have room for 2 more Climax cards, which I'm going to call dead Climax cards, meaning that they don't have a Climax combo. In this case, we run 2 of I Told a Lie, which has a 2-soul trigger, and this is a pretty basic Climax. It has a good combo for level 1, but I don't like it too much for competitive scenes, so I'm not going to bother running it. When you hit a point of having to run dead climaxes, which is very, very rare in any set, I really like to find a climax of an effect that we're missing. So this is a 1k1, 1000 power, 1 soul to everybody. This is a stock and 1 soul to everybody. So we're really only missing one additional effect, which is the give 2000 power and a soul to one character and draw a card. So these are much better at like level 0 or level 2 when you just need a little bit more power to get over that one strong character that your opponent has. That's what these are for, really. If you don't like the idea of running dead climaxes, it's okay to run 2 more ad-libs, but I do like the additional 2000 power, just because if we are saying one big weakness of the deck, it is having a lack of power, and sometimes when you need more than what you have. But because of that, that'll put us at 8 Climax cards. It is blue just because you can run the red one if you like. The blue one is whatever, and I'm not even a big fan of Onodera, but she happens to be on the art if you are a big fan. But that's my Nisekoi deck, guys. I hope you really enjoyed it. Blue and red, mainly Marika with a little bit of Chitoge and Onodera, if you were just looking for the girls that are in the group. Let me know what you guys think about it below in the comments section. Give us a like and subscribe to us if you want to hear more from us. We got more deck profiles on the way and soon to have some matches on the channel as well. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys. This is Weiss Schwarz Nisekoi, and hope you guys have a good one.